I don't know why I'm crying. I do know why I'm crying. I'm crying because he was so sincere in the way that he comported himself throughout the interview. I don't even have to demonstrate anything. Everything that I've said during my comments on what I was observing during the interview, everything was just in practice at the end of it, when my reaction to what he was saying is this one. The reaction is this one because I'm reacting to a human being who's describing all of who he is. He's describing his fears. He's describing his losses of people that are no longer with us. He's describing what his hope is. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to do this episode 51 of Hey Stella podcast. I found this interview that I find it to be remarkable of the actor Mickey Rourke by Piers Morgan on his show Uncensored. I have seen it already being commented on by people, and they are surprised by Mickey Rourke's honesty. They are surprised by him calling Tom Cruise irrelevant in Mickey Rourke's world. They are surprised by the brutal, direct honesty when it comes to calling Amber Heard a gold digger. I'm surprised that all these commentary that are being made on social media all over the place are themselves surprised by his honest, sincere remarks. That's what blows my mind.
Mickey, great to see you.
Great to see you.
I heard you mustering before we went to the commercial break. What does uncensored mean? And I would say you are an uncensored man.
Well, I'm my own man.
Let the man speak freely. Just because he's not being polite, everybody wants politeness all over the world. Polite, let's be polite. As actors, you can't be polite. You have to let politeness a little bit to the side when you embrace acting. I'm not saying that you have to be mean. I'm not saying that you have to be damaging to another person or to yourself, but politeness doesn't help anybody. You're not helping your partner on stage or in front of the camera by giving the partner what they're expecting, because there's not going to be any surprise happening between the two of you. It's going to be just a boring scene. There's no human involvement in that. Life is not planned. We might plan it. There are moments that happen which we have to deal with. Teachings from actors.
Mickey, when you see someone like Tom Cruise, grossing $1 billion with Top Gun Maverick, the sequel, 35 years or so after the first one, what do you think of that?
That doesn't mean shit to me. The guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years. I got no respect for that.
Really?
I don't give it. No, it's really, brother. I don't care about money and power. I care about when I watched Al Pacino work and Chris Walken and De Niro's early work and Richard Harris's work and Ray Winstone's work. That's the kind of actor I want to be, like Monty Cliff and Brando back in the day, and a lot of guys that just tried to stretch as actors and be the.
You don't think Tom Cruise is a good actor?
I think he's irrelevant in my world.
Fascinating.
Did he catch you by surprise a little bit, Piers Morgan, when he said that? This is the moment that everybody's been blasting all over. How could Mickey Rourke have said such things about Tom Cruise? Mickey Rourke comes from the actor studios, select few actors to be members. The one actor studio were Lee Strasberg, Elia Kazan, and I think I read somewhere that when Mickey Rourke auditioned for the actor studio back in the day, it was Elia Kazan who said that it was the best audition that he's ever seen. It was either Elia Kazan or Lee Strasberg, but I think it was Elia Kazan. My God, he's coming from that world of the actors understanding the work in such a way that majority of the people are not getting to this day. It doesn't matter that there's a celebration of the actor studio of 75 years this year. There's so many on television who are talking as experts on acting, and they have no freaking idea what they're talking about. When Mickey Rourke is talking about Marlon Brando in the early days as an example of what he wants out of himself, and that's what he's been training and stretching himself for as an actor. All of these amazing people who are artists. Tom Cruise is a movie star. He might have had a couple of movies in the beginning of his career, in my opinion, before he got into Scientology. There's nothing wrong that Mickey Rourke said by speaking his opinion, and he even gave the reason why in his world Tom Cruise is irrelevant. He gave the comparison. He named the other actors who are artists. He's a member of the actor studio. He understands the work, the method work. He's making the comparison between Marlon Brando and Tom Cruise. He's making the comparison from Al Pacino in his early years or Robert De Niro in his early years. He's got the right to say it. So why are you coming after him? Get informed about the work of the actor. Why would he say that about Tom Cruise? Tom Cruise is a great actor. That's a general comment for you to make. He's being so much more specific when he talks about Tom Cruise. Address that. That's what he's referring to. He's making the difference between those people who have changed the art of acting, like Marlon Brando. Hey, Stella, that's where my name comes from for the podcast. And he got into the actor studio on his first try, which is a huge thing. I also got into the actor studio on my first try. I have to say that. Most people, even famous people, they've tried for like years because you can only try once a year. That he cares about the artist work. Covered his eyes to cover the emotions, and his emotion was still there. Just because he stopped the emotion from being visible to the audience, to the public, it didn't mean that he stopped inside of himself. He took the plastic bottle and he threw it out of frustration, because that's spontaneous in the moment reaction of a human being. And then you remind yourself, when you go to play a character, I'm not going to judge this character that he might or might not throw a bottle, because I wasn't expecting of myself to throw a bottle when speaking of what's happening in Ukraine. And again, he didn't throw a glass bottle, because that would have been unkind. That would have been damaging to maybe somebody on set. You're emotionally involved, still have to have the observant part of you active to make sure that you don't pick up a glass and throw it and hurt somebody in the process of it. That's spontaneity. Do it, let it surprise you, but make sure that you're still aware of what you're doing. Brilliant. And don't judge your characters.
Horrendous.
Ever since that day,
There's the moment.
I've said prayers for that man.
Mickey, I wanted to talk to you also about what happened to your friend Johnny Depp. What did you think of that case and the fact that in the end he won it?
Well, you know, I know Johnny for many years, but I don't really know him intimately. All I could say is I was in a situation one time where I got blamed for something that I didn't do. It cost me movie jobs for several years, and it caused me a bad reputation. And finally, the truth came out. But the truth came out after I lost movies and I lost jobs, and so I felt bad for somebody that is trying to get chopped down by some gold digger. You know.
You think that's what she was?
Absolutely.
He just simply says it. She's a gold digger. That's it. She's a fucking gold digger. And the more that you give and the more that you are being appreciated for your work, those people in powerful positions are afraid. You got to keep within what we see you to be. You can't throw a plastic bottle at the end of the segment because you're frustrated. Mickey Rourke is not talking about Polanski as a human. He's talking about him in his knowledge of him as a director. If he were to have said, no, I think he's a horrible director, that would have been a lie, because he's not a horrible director. Is he a horrible human? Yes. but listen to what people are saying. Don't make judgments because you don't know. Those were the times when you couldn't talk about these people in their positions because nobody was taking an interest. Different time, different. I'm not saying it was good, it was bad. You can hold them responsible the same way that justice was brought for those women who had the courage to speak against Harvey Weinstein. It was done now, and I'm so happy that Piers Morgan interviewed him. I think, Piers, you're great. I think you're doing an amazing job. And you do great interviews with people who are not necessarily in the groups that are being liked nowadays, but you still understand their quality as people, as actors, as artists, and you bring them on.
You're a guy, you said you're in your third act now. What do you want it to be?
What do I want to do now? And I started doing this about 2 years ago, was when I get an opportunity to work, I want to do the best job in that moment that I could ever possibly give the director to do. In other words, I'm not going to walk through it. I'm going to give him everything I got, because from now on, every job I get, they're going to get all of me.
What does it take, Mickey, to be a truly great actor?
I think a lot of hard work and discipline. And to be able to be brave enough to make choices that are interesting choices that are either going to be really, really good or terrible.
It's the actors that keep societies reminded of our common stories, interest in others, empathy, curiosity, to have the courage to make the choices as you do in life, make choices that are bold. Why am I crying? I can't believe that I'm crying. When asked about what is the best movie that he's done so far and he looks for the future, he doesn't think that he's made it yet. The hope is there. The admitting to the shame, the fears that he has, but the hope that he has. And I think it was so raw. It was so beautifully done. And Piers Morgan, at the end of the interview, when he says, this is what I'm talking about, this is what an interview is, and this is what I want people to be like, speak your mind, uncensored, don't be afraid. And I think I just got touched by the end of it because there was so much remarkable exchanges. There were so many remarkable exchanges between Piers Morgan and Mickey Rourke. It was almost like watching a great scene between two people. It wasn't just, oh, let me just ask a question and then I'm just going to care about myself, to make people see that my question is really, really great. There was so much listening and taking each other in. It was almost like a beautiful dialogue that you hope to see in great movies, you know? It blew my mind. I was reminded that his story, no matter how different, no matter how at first seems different, by the end of the interview, when he reveals all of who he is and what makes him who he is, our universal stories, there's one: life here, and then hopefully life after. I'm afraid of dying, he said, but I'm not afraid of death, because I know I'm going to meet some of the people who are going to be up there in heaven, but then some of them are going to be in hell. That was funny. He's also funny too. He's so funny. Oh God. Do you guys understand why you have to stop making comments on remarks that he makes about Tom Cruise or Roman Polanski or Amber Heard? Listen to the whole interview. Content matters. The person who is being interviewed, him, Mickey Rourke, is an artist. That matters when you take into consideration what he says. Look at how he behaves if you don't understand what he says, or if you misinterpret his comments. Be an audience member and sit back and listen, really listen, and you will also be moved as I was moved. Thank you so much, everyone. This is episode 51, Hey Stella podcast. Oh my God, this was amazing. Piers Morgan, Mickey Rourke,